Google clicks and Shopify tricks, boosting your store with revenue picks. From ads to sales, we're making it flow, crushing both targets, watch your business grow.
Ever feel like you're, well, stuck in this bidding war with Google Ads? Like the prices just keep climbing, but you're not really sure the results are actually any better.
Yeah, I hear you. It's a common story, unfortunately.
Well, today we are diving into this strategy that really, it kind of flips the script, It's called Google Dark Orders.
Dark orders. Interesting.
Yeah, it's about working smarter, not harder within Google's system.
Yeah.
And definitely not more expensively.
Right. Because who has that kind of cash to just throw around?
Exactly.
So what I find really interesting about this whole approach is how it plays on this kind of fundamental tension at the heart of Google's business model. You know what I mean?
Go on me.
So they're so reliant on ad revenue, like incredibly reliant, over 77% in 2023.
Wow.
Yeah, so it creates this constant push to maximize their own profits.
Of course.
But the thing is, what's good for Google's bottom line? Well, it isn't always what gets you the best return on your ad spend.
So it's like they're incentivized to keep those profits rolling in.
Yeah.
Even if it means, maybe squeezing advertisers a little bit to make it happen.
Exactly. You said it, not me.
Hmm.
But you're totally right. And the way they've designed their ad system really reflects that, Like they've moved away from this more transparent auction model to these crazy complex algorithms that are honestly, they're only great at one thing. And that is figuring out exactly how much you're willing to pay and then pushing you right to that very limit.
It's true. So it's not so much about finding the most relevant ads anymore. It's more about predicting how much advertisers will actually shell out, even if the results aren't even guaranteed.
You hit the nail right on the head there. And you know what? This all ties into this really, honestly, kind of eye-opening practice that came out in the US v. Google case. So internally, Google, they call it shaking the cushions.
Shaking the cushions.
Shaking the cushions. Can you believe that?
I mean, it makes sense in a way.
It's like they're digging for loose change in our sofa.
While we're distracted by the, very shiny ads.
Exactly. It's so funny because it's true.
It is. No wonder so many businesses feel like they're always on the losing end of Google Ads.
Right. So this is where dark orders comes in.
Okay.
And just to be clear, we are not talking about cheating the system here. It's not like that.
Right.
It's more about understanding Google's, let's call them quirks, and finding ways to regain some control for ourselves.
Okay, so I'm intrigued, but before we get too deep into the weeds of the solution, can we take a step back for a second?
Sure.
I think for those of us who aren't Google Ads experts, could you break down why this shift away from a transparent auction model is such a big deal?
Yeah, absolutely. So back in the early days of Google Ads, they used a system called a Vickrey auction, which, sounds complicated, but it's actually pretty simple.
Okay.
Basically, you only ended up paying a little bit more than what the next highest bidder was willing to pay, and the real focus was on ad quality and relevance, good content for the user.
Makes sense.
But now it's kind of murky.
Yeah.
They've got these algorithms that take into account so many factors, tons of them, and a lot of them are totally hidden from advertisers, so we don't really know why we're paying what we are.
Yeah, you never know if you're actually getting a good deal or not.
It's true. And on top of that, even when you think you might be starting to get the hang of the system, well, Google does their, cushion shaking thing.
Oh, right.
And it's like,
Yeah.
because the rules can change without you even realizing it.
So frustrating. Okay, so basically, we've established that traditional Google Ads, it can feel a bit like a black box.
Totally.
Costs are going up, transparency is way down. So how do dark orders give us a way out of this mess? Okay, dark orders, that sounds kind of, rebellious.
Yeah.
A little cloak and dagger,
Yeah.
So paint me a picture here. How does this strategy actually work? In the real world?
So basically, it's all about being just a little more strategic with the information that we're giving to those Google algorithms. So think of it like this, right? Like in the normal Google Ads game, you're basically standing on top of a building with a megaphone, shouting your budget and your goals to the entire world.
And everyone can hear us?
Yeah. And Google's listening, So you're telling Google, hey, I need those customers, and I'm willing to pay whatever it takes.
I take all my money.
Exactly. So naturally, Google being, Google, they're like, okay, sounds good. We'll make sure you get those clicks, but it's going to cost you.
Pretty please with a cherry on top. Right. So with dark orders, we're changing our tune a little bit, right?
Exactly. Instead of being an open book, we're a little more mysterious.
We like our secrets.
We give Google just enough to keep the lights on, but our real strategy, well, that's our little secret.
I like it. So does that mean we're not going after those big, obvious keywords that every other company wants?
Exactly. So instead, we're getting a bit more niche.
Niche, okay. I like it. Tell me more.
So this is where this idea of long tail keywords comes in, right?
Long tail keywords, okay.
These are like longer, super specific phrases that people search when they're like really close to making a purchase.
So give me an example. Like what?
Okay, so think waterproof hiking boots for wide feet instead of just searching for hiking boots.
Ah, I see what you're saying. So someone who is ready to buy, they know what they want.
Exactly. And think about it. There's probably way less competition for that super specific phrase.
Which means lower costs to get those clicks.
You got it. And because we're being all hush-hush with our data, Google's algorithms, they have no idea how valuable those conversions really are.
They can't see our master plan.
Nope. They just see lower bids, less competition, and they're like, okay, bargain bin it is.
Over here in the clearance section, I love it.
It's like finding that amazing vintage jacket at the thrift store,
Yes.
Nobody else knows it's worth a fortune but you. You got yourself a steal.
I love that analogy. That's perfect.
And here's the best part. Those super specific searches, they attract higher quality leads.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Someone searching for, like, organic dog food for sensitive stomachs, they're way more likely to buy than someone just browsing for, dog food.
So it's all about quality over quantity with these dark orders.
Exactly. We're not just chasing clicks. We want the right clicks, the ones that turn into paying customers.
Absolutely. Yeah. So this is where the real magic of this whole thing comes in, right? Because this isn't just like a clever cost-saving trick. Yeah. It's way more strategic than that.
Exactly.
This sounds amazing, but I think some people might be out there thinking, okay, this all sounds really good, but how do we actually do this? It sounds kind of, I don't know, technical.
Right, and maybe a little secretive, but honestly, it's way more straightforward than you might think, and it's totally above board. We're not, like, hacking Google or anything.
Okay, good.
So the key here is this tool that Google already gives us, and it's called offline conversion tracking, but we're going to use it in a way that they didn't exactly intend.
Oh, okay. Now you've got my attention. Tell me more. Offline conversion tracking. But for online orders. Okay, now that is clever.
It is, right. So you know how I was saying that we need to be a little strategic with the data we give Google? So this tool, offline conversion tracking, it lets us see what happens after someone clicks on our ad.
Right.
But instead of telling Google exactly when someone buys something and how much they spent, well, we tell them a slightly different story.
A different story.
I'm listening. Okay, let's say someone clicks on your ad for those, what did you call them?
The vintage floral yoga leggings.
Yes, those. They click on the ad, go to your site, and boom, $50 purchase.
Nice. Cha-ching.
Exactly. But normally we would tell Google about that whole thing, right? Like, hey, Google, that click led to a $50 sale.
Right.
But with dark orders, we might just say it was a $45 sale. Just a little bit of an adjustment.
We're like subtly downplaying our success. I have to admit, it feels a little bit sneaky.
Maybe a little, but here's the thing. Remember how those algorithms love to maximize Google's profits?
Oh, yes. Like it's their favorite game.
Exactly. So by making those conversions seem a little less valuable, we're basically throwing off their whole game.
Ah, I see where you're going with this.
They see a lower return on investment and think, well, those clicks aren't worth as much, and what do? They keep our costs down.
So it's like we're flying under the radar disguised as this like low-performing campaign while secretly we're cleaning up.
Exactly. It's all about being a wolf in sheep's clothing with Google Ads.
I love it. But okay, this all sounds really good in theory, but I'm sure people are wondering, does this actually work in the real world?
It really does. There's this report by Adam Sturrock. He analyzed over 3,000 Shopify stores, and they were all using this tool called Order Legend, which, by the way, it automates this whole dark orders thing.
Okay, cool. So what did you find?
So get this. They were seeing revenue increases like 12, 14% on average, and that's in really competitive markets. We're talking about things like auto and toys.
Wow, so people are selling more cars and toys thanks to dark orders. I'm impressed.
Oh, yeah. And even in those markets where it's super hard to stand out, like apparel, home goods, all that, they were still seeing bumps of like 6, 8%.
Okay, those are some pretty impressive numbers. But As always, you know me. I love the outliers. You got any like really juicy case studies that really show what dark orders can do?
Oh, definitely. There's this one, Festival Heaven. They make clothes for, well, festivals. Yeah, but they were getting killed with ad costs.
I bet that market is so saturated.
It is. And their ads just weren't performing.
So they went over to the dark side.
Exactly. And it was kind of amazing, actually. They totally shifted their strategy. So instead of going after those super expensive keywords like just festival outfits,
Right.
they went super niche. We're talking iridescent, holographic festival, crop top kind of niche.
So specific.
It was brilliant. They were still reaching their people, but without spending a fortune for every single click.
Okay, that is really smart.
Yeah.
So what happened?
They were blown away. Their revenue shot up by 64.27%. Just from implementing dark orders.
64.27, that's insane.
No, talk about a glow up.
For real. Okay, but, this all sounds almost too good to be true. I have to ask, how long can this actually last? I mean, Google can't be happy about this, can they? They're going to try to shut this down, right?
Well, it's definitely a valid concern. Google, they're always updating their algorithms.
Always.
So, what works today might not work tomorrow. Plus, there's that whole antitrust case still going on, and who knows what that will mean for digital advertising in general.
Okay, so it's possible that these dark orders, it's like a temporary advantage. We can use it now, but in the long term, who knows?
It might be. But here's the thing. Even if Google tweets things or the laws change, the ideas behind dark orders, those will always be relevant.
How so?
It's about really understanding these platforms, right? Like how they really work. And it's about being strategic with your data, not just giving it all away and, getting a little creative and finding opportunities where other people aren't even looking.
So basically, even if dark orders disappear, this whole mindset of outsmarting the system, that's what will always matter in the long run.
Exactly. Because at the end of the day, it's not about breaking the rules. It's about understanding the rules better than anyone else.
And then you can win the game.
Exactly.
Well, that is about all the time we have for today's deep dive into the world of Google dark orders. But hey, maybe this got you thinking, right? What about your business? What parts of your work, your life, whatever, could benefit from a little bit of strategic data control? Just something to think about.